Welcome to Teaching in Color, the podcast where we empower teachers, redefine education, and amplify voices. Here, we dive into real stories, bold conversations, and the challenges and triumphs of educators making a difference. Whether you're in the classroom, the community, or just here for inspiration, this is your space. Let's talk, let's grow, and let's make change together. This is Teaching in Color. Hey, besties. Welcome back to Teaching in Color, the podcast where we amplify the voices of educators of color and those who support them. I'm your host, Brandon Jenkins, and today we have an incredible guest whose journey into teaching is as unexpected as it is inspiring. She's a second-year teacher from Kalamazoo, Michigan, who originally set out for a career in criminal justice, but found herself called to the classroom. Now, as a fifth-grade self-contained teacher, she's navigating the world of modern education, looping with her students, and tackling the evolving challenges of new age parenting, teacher responsibilities, and school support. Please welcome to the show, Anaia Lachelle Hawkins, aka Miss H. Welcome, Anaia.
You did great. Yeah.
I was telling Anaia we always do a take two here on Teaching in Color podcast, and that just makes it like worth the while. It makes it perfect.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to have you here, Anaia. One thing about it, like reading over what you sent in, your bio and everything, like learning about you, I am so intrigued by first this like approach that you had to criminal justice, and then also like the multifaceted like approach that you have to everything, honestly. Okay. Like you're an artist, you're a teacher, like it's just amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, but I want us to we start off the podcast with this question all the time. What was your journey into education like? You know, you graduated in 2023 with a degree in criminal justice and legal studies. So how did you go from that path to becoming a teacher?
I think I was going to become a teacher always. Yeah. My mom is currently a principal, and I've watched her teach all my life. Yeah. So I felt it was going to happen at some point. I just didn't know when. So when I was 16, I started working in schools over the summer, being a parapro. Wow. And then when I was a parapro at the current school that I'm teaching at now, my principal wasted no time. And as soon as I graduated with my bachelor's, she emailed me and said, "Do you want to teach next year?" And I sat on it for a minute, and I decided that I was going to do it. So.
Wow, that is amazing. I think like a lot of people don't really, because I have the same kind of path and route. Like I was a para before I even ever went into teaching, like got my classroom. So I think a lot of people forget like that's the easiest way for you, one, to get assimilated to like school culture, and two, right off the bat, get a job. Like if you're in the schools already, securing a job is the easiest way to do it.
Yeah.
So I really do applaud that, especially because I know how hard it is coming in at like a young age into like a school system. Yes. I started like I had to be like 18. Like I went straight into para at 18 years old. And that is a scary world because you kind of get a peek behind the curtain of like the everyday life of teachers.
Right. Yes.
What were some things like...
Go ahead.
I just want to know, I think you're probably going to get to that, but like, what were some things that surprised you, like going in so early, so young, like you getting to see behind the curtain?
The differentiation between teaching styles. Yeah. I was really surprised with like how every teacher is different. Mm-hmm. And then just the behind the scenes, like system of how everything is ran. Like when you're a student, you don't know everything that a teacher is doing on their computer. And like, you don't know what the office people are doing. So like, having like that lens from the overall spectrum, it benefited me when I was working prior as like a parapro. I've even been an admin assistant before too. So once I started with the teaching role, I felt a bit more equipped, more than I ever would have thought that I was. So
wow. Yeah, I love that. I love that. Honestly, like for me, it was going in like very young and like seeing, I can attest to like that differentiation. Like you never think about it as a kid, like, or as a student, like, hey, this is really what our teachers are doing behind the scenes. But there also were some crazy things that I just like growing up, I never, like, I didn't even know my teachers, like where they lived. I didn't know where like any of those things.
There's always drama in education too.
Yes. Always. And it varies amongst
Yeah.
like different levels, grade levels. Like honestly, teachers adapt to the grade level that they're in. And so like sometimes
Yeah.
I will see the craziest things. Like it's
Yeah.
just, yeah, it's crazy.
It is.
But transitioning into this next question, you've been working in schools for in some capacity since you were 16. What was it about
Mhm.
education that kept pulling you back? You talked about your mom being a principal now and being in education so early on. What really brought you back to it?
Um, that was like one of the main things that was easiest for me.
Yeah.
I was really like, I felt super confident about formulating a relationship with any kid I came across.
Yeah.
Working with kids has never been hard for me. And I felt like, okay, if this is something that I'm also passionate about, because I care about the youth, I care about the community, I care about their parents. So I knew that that was going to be something that I could at least sustain myself with to start
Mhm.
after college. So I was
Wow.
like, if I
Yeah.
get back into it in high school, I can make money. So at least I'm doing what I love and I'm still getting paid to do it at a young age. So
Yeah. And I think like again, you having that kind of like exposure to it early on with your mom is like a really good loop back to it. And I'm pretty sure she's instilled some amazing practices in you, like into being
absolutely.
an educator. So I definitely love that. But I really want to get into, I reading upon you and like getting to know you prior to this session. You've looped with your students from fourth grade to fifth grade. I
Mm-hmm.
currently teach fourth grade, and I can tell you right now, I would not want to loop, but to each their own. Um, but what has that experience been like for you?
Looping with my kids honestly is a blessing
Yeah.
because after my first year of school, I did not want to stay in fourth grade because of the
Uh,
incoming fourth graders that was
yeah.
coming. Mm-mm. And I
Mm,
asked leadership if I could move in and loop with my kids because, for one, I didn't trust anybody else with my kids.
yeah.
And they're going to go to sixth grade. I want them to be as equipped as they can. So if I could move up and have the grace to do it, that's what I would choose to do. And so looping has honestly been very beneficial for me and my kids. They
Yeah.
advocated for me to loop with them. So now that we both got what we wanted, I think we're, as a family, as a class family, we've been doing like much better at like formulating relationships with each other. I don't have to
Yeah.
reach anything, so looping is pretty good.
I love that. Like, again, I say like I wouldn't want to, but that was
Yeah,
my first class, so I kind of like
right.
I thought about it too, and I was like, wow, like again, trust is like a big thing.
Yeah,
Is like you build that connection with them, and it's hard to let
yeah,
them go in a sense.
yeah.
So I really do like I applaud you for that because that is a huge jump for you,
Mm-hmm.
curriculum wise. Again,
Right, and
learning
I
new
never
things,
taught fifth grade either, so I'm
right?
learning with them.
Yes, and I love that. Have you noticed any major differences in like their academic or social development between fourth and fifth grade?
Yes, absolutely. Since they already knew each other last year, most of them, they are used to that, I guess, the classroom dynamic of everybody that's in there. So
Yeah.
socially, I don't see many changes besides like maybe any new kids that I have. But the kids that came in and looped from fourth grade, they also knew each other back in third grade. And I was
Wow.
their parapro in third grade. So I really been with them for 2.5 years. Yeah. So
Yeah.
academically, there's been growth, and I'm thankful for that because they were the higher class compared
Hmm.
to the other fifth grade class. So we're just picking up where we left off from last year. So there's been growth in both areas. I think me looping with them was beneficial because had they been with any other teacher, those kids that are just naturally bright, I know that they will excel, but those
Yeah.
that may excel because of my relationship with them is totally different. So
Wow. And I love how you bring up relationship and connection and bond
yeah,
within your students because it takes a lot,
I
honestly, for
have
your
to.
kid. Yeah, and like
Yeah,
for your kids to trust you and you to trust them. So I love how
yeah.
you've established that already within your own classroom community. Question for you though, like do you think it looping should be more common in schools?
Absolutely.
I
I
agree.
I honestly was because I was surprised at first when they gave me the okay to do it because at
Yeah.
first they was like, no, we're not allowing you. And I said, okay, well if y'all don't let me loop, I'm quitting because it was only my first year. I could go
Yeah.
somewhere else before I get too attached with the building. I can go
Yeah.
somewhere else. So, but when I looped and after like the first couple months, I had several teachers and staff coming up to me saying like, I'm really glad that you looped because
Yeah.
we rarely ever seen that happen at this school. Like, and the kids needed that. Like, I think it's way easier for a teacher to loop with a class because you don't have to reteach certain procedures and like attention signals. They're already used to your style. Like, I just think that overall it's been way better because they don't have to start over this year. They're not starting over. So, yeah, I love
And
it.
I also think it makes for like a stronger teacher overall because you're looping through different grades, essentially learning new content,
Yep.
and across the
Yep.
board, you're a well-rounded teacher.
Right. Yep.
I've had success stories, like heard success stories in terms of looping. I've never experienced it personally. Again, like my class last year, I told them briefly, like it was like maybe November, and they asked, like, what do you want to do
Yeah.
for the next year? And I was like, oh yeah, like I'd love to, go with them. But then that quickly changed after that first
Right.
semester into the second semester. So I've
Yeah.
never really experienced it firsthand, and so I think it really does again make for a better classroom environment and also just a better teacher overall.
Yeah, I agree.
So for you, you have a successful like transition between fourth and fifth grade, looping with your students. You talk about
Yeah.
connection and bond within that. What are some
Yeah.
other best practices to make it really like impactful?
Great teacher parent relationships.
Love that.
That's another great benefit that I have with looping because I even had parents last year say like, if you stay with my kid, I won't pull them out of this school. Like
Wow.
they only wanted their kid to be with me, which is of course a blessing because they didn't know that this is only my first year. So that was a compliment for me. And I think having a good relationship with all of my kids' parents, it also helps hold my kids accountable too, because they know me and your guardian is a team. So you can't outrun us. So that's another benefit too, because I know they family, so we're like this. So
wow, I love that.
yeah.
I mean, again, like parent teacher connection again just goes hand in hand with like you building that community.
Yeah.
But we're going to shift into the next segment of the show today, and it's more so revolves around new school versus old school education.
Okay.
You've seen education from both a student and a teacher perspective. What are the biggest differences between how schools operated when you were growing up versus now?
Ooh. It's so like hard to decipher because there's a lot of like similarities, but the differences change with how society changes. So like all of the access that kids have to like media outlets and stuff, I didn't have. A lot of these kids are like in third, fourth, fifth grade with cell phones. We didn't have phones in third, fourth, fifth grade. Like,
No.
so I think in terms of like, I think a lot of teachers nowadays are scared of children because of all of the access that they have. A lot of their parents are young, so they aren't being instilled the like-mindedness that they should when they are trying to like respect the teacher. Like a lot of kids aren't taught teacher respect, and that will hurt the teacher. And like back in the day, my mom would never ever, like I was terrified to disrespect the teacher. I had never got in trouble, never got suspended. Like my record is clean in school.
Yeah.
But I hate school. So it's I don't know. I think there's a lot of differences in terms of like the social aspects, the parenting, the no child left behind. Like there's a lot of issues. And then the pandemic just made it worse. So.
Made it worse completely. Yeah. You talk about like like students, like their parents being young, and that is so true. The school that I work at is like essentially like down the street from where I live. So I grew up in the community, grew up in the neighboring school. Like I know pretty much like the grocery store. I'm having to duck and dodge because I see kids everywhere. But I think about it all the time, and I always car duty, bus duty, in the front office. Like I see like parents that I went to high school with. So I see them, we're the same age and they have kids. And so it's really hard. And I think about it and I'm like, I can't even think about myself having a child right now and how that would even like think or like fathom that idea. So it's kind of like hard. Again, every parenting style is different and who knows what's going on at home. So I like how you brought that up.
Yes.
So, you talk about, again, I love how you bring up that new school versus old school education aspect. Do you think modern teaching methods are helping students succeed? Or do we need to bring up, some old school approaches? Do we need to bring those back?
I think modern teaching does help students succeed if they came from the right foundation at home.
Yes.
If they don't come from a sustainable foundation at home, I would bring out the old school for those kids.
Yes.
Because with the parenting styles, it influences how a kid looks at their teacher. And so, like, if old school parenting was the same now,
yeah,
I don't think we would have to change up modernized strategies. But I think with it being such a gap and it's a baby boom, like, so many people are having children. So, like, with all these kids and then all of these younger parents, and some of them are just older and checked out, so it's so hard. It's hard. But I do think overall it does help kids succeed. They just have to come from a great background.
Yeah, like, I think about it all the time where, like, I love bringing new teaching methods into my classroom, modern day teaching methods, like using technology and all those things. I love it. But then I also often, like, it's kind of like that running joke that teachers have in the classroom is like, where you stand there and like, I'll wait. Like, oh, wait.
Yep.
Like, I'll wait. Like, it's always like I always bring that out because like new age teaching methods are great, but then you also do have to go like old school again with it sometimes.
And the technology is a problem. I don't like how often in the curriculum kids have to be on the computer.
We rely on it, yes.
That's such an ick for me because like there's fifth graders that like their handwriting is terrible. Like they write like they're in kindergarten. And it's because they're on technology all the time. They're not practicing it. At least have them practice on an iPad, if at least, but they don't do that. So it's, yeah.
No, it's like teaching our kids how to write. Like our kids are typing from the minute they get in the room to the end of the day.
Yes. Like all of their programs are on the computer, their math intervention, everything. Yeah.
And I'm like, why can't we just like, I don't know. It's hard. It's hard. Yeah. It's hard. Again, sometimes
where they are in the classroom. So I understand the intention, but at the same time, they know that they're setting kids back because they know no kid grows being on the computer all the time.
Exactly. Like, I guess, I mean, things are becoming digital, like everything, but there's some things that we still need to do, like learn, like, so I don't know. That's something that I always think about because, like, I'm like, I have to tell my kids, like, put the Chromebook down. And like we'll do something else because even I just get exhausted of it.
Right. Yeah.
But looking back at the old school approaches, I keep hitting this mic. Okay. Looking back at the old school approaches, we're transitioning into our next segment, the many responsibilities of teachers. We know that teaching is such a rigorous profession. I mean, it's from sun up to sundown. Weekends, we're on go all the time. I think now it's becoming a little bit easier for the new age teachers to voice that they're not going to do that. And that's really powerful. So again, teachers today wear so many hats just beyond teaching. They're counselors, they're mentors, caregivers. We're janitors, we're technicians. We're doing all the things inside of that classroom. How do you manage all of those expectations in your classroom?
I'm still learning how to manage them.
Yeah.
It's only year 2, but I can say I'm very good with time management. So like when it comes to, like lesson planning and, getting grades done, like I'm really good at that stuff. I guess for me, something that I would have to work on is like preparing for what if like these handful of super smart kids that get everything done in 5 minutes, they need something to do afterwards. Like that is what I need to work on right now because I will never have stuff prepared for after that. But like in terms of like just managing in general, last year compared to now, I'm much better because my first year, like I was staying after every day. And then I had to realize, I'm like, okay, girl, you don't get paid to stay after. To stay after. So I'm like, I'm not going to do that anymore. Whatever doesn't get done, it's going to get done in the morning. So I honestly just kind of had to shut off like that overwhelming person in my head, like the person that wants to be overwhelmed. I'm not doing that.
Yeah. I often like think because I'm in my second year too. So that was one of my problems. Like my first year was staying behind. Like always doing something, like going home, like creating stuff on the weekend. Like it was just mind-boggling and
Never
exhausting.
done with being a
Never
teacher.
ever done. And I just had to
Always.
realize, yes,
Yes.
always something to do. I just had to realize, like, it at the end of the day, it's gonna be what it is. You know,
Okay.
it is what it is.
Yeah.
And I also think about like the like the emotional toll of being a
Yes.
teacher. The
Yes.
emotional toll of it. Like
Mm-hmm.
I remember like last year, you know, one of my students had a like traumatic experience, and I was like thinking about it even when I went home, you know?
Yes.
And of course, like again, that's just me being who I am, a teacher, and being empathetic and like, but it's so many things that are out of our control a lot of times that we just harbor and have on our shoulders.
That's me.
Yeah, it's just hard. It's really hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I want to know, because I think like some people truly don't understand. If you're not a teacher, you don't understand. What's one thing about the teaching profession that people outside of education don't understand? And I have one. You want me to go first?
You go first.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't really think that they understand. Like, I truly believe that people outside of education think we are honestly just like playing patty cake, like with our students, and just like playing around. I really think that's what people believe.
They think we're babysitting children.
They think that we are babysitting. And sometimes it'd be the parents. It'd be the parents. Like, they really do. Like,
yes.
Sometimes it's the parents, but a lot of people do think that we're just like, we're playing kickball with them. We're like doing dodgeball. Yeah. We're creating like rainbow hats. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's kindergarten, yeah. But like for the most part, we're actually teaching.
Yeah. I think something that people outside of education will never understand is like the attachment that you will have.
Yes.
With your kids. Like, I wonder all the time what their future is going to be like, as if they're my own. You know what I'm saying? And especially for me, because I've had them for 2.5 years now.
Yeah.
I think about like what they're going to do after me all the time. Thinking about the last day of school, I will cry thinking about it. Like, I'm very attached to my kids, and I think that's going to be one of the hardest things for me if I do teach long term.
So. Yes. The attachment, like, honestly, you really start to think about like where are they headed.
Yes.
Like, and that's when you try to instill as much as you can in them. But you know, it's hard. Like, you've had the privilege of looping with your students and being there. A lot of teachers just, you know, they just go on, and you don't know what the next teacher is going to give them or put into them or give their all. So it's really hard.
Yeah.
So, you know, blending that into like a new age parenting and then impacting academic and social growth, what are the biggest challenges you're seeing with like this whole new age parenting thing? Like, socially.
They want to be friends with their kids.
They want to be friends, yes. Oh my gosh, they want to be friends with their kids. That is my biggest
problem. It's like they expect me to discipline their kid as if I'm the parent, you know?
Yes.
But let me say one wrong thing. If I touch them wrong, oh, they're ready to come and be super mom.
Yes.
That is a huge challenge. I think also too, getting parents like to understand and consider, like, if you do the work now, your kid will soar X amount of years from now. Like, they don't consider the future nowadays. They're just in the now. And that's a huge problem. So those are my two.
Wow, I agree completely, 100%. Quick story time. I had a parent literally, they were talking about like their kids sneaking out of the bed to go play Fortnite. And so I'm like, okay, like take the game. Like, take the game. And they were like, what do I do? And I'm like, babe, take the game. Like, you know,
go hide it somewhere. Like,
yes. And so I'm like, they're coming into class sleeping. Like, they're asleep for like a good part of the day. And then they wake up and they have no clue what's going on, and then they're disruptive. So it's like, and then they literally looked at me and were like, well, you know, what are you going to do about it? And I'm like, what are you
going to do about it?
What are you going to do? Like, I just think about that all the time, because I'm like, whoa.
I can't stand that either. If a kid is asleep, like, I just take that so offensively. unless I know that you have like a background that is not the best at home, then I don't care.
Now that's
but if
different.
that your butt could have went to sleep and you sleep in my class, no, that's a problem for me. That's a problem.
Like what? I just think about it all the time because I'm like, he's thinking out of the bed like that's not my house. Like I don't know. Like
right, talking about some what do I do? And that's what I'm saying. They're scared to discipline them.
I don't know.
You gonna be stuck with this kid till they're 18. What are you scared for?
Oh my gosh, but that was hilarious. Okay, so transitioning into our next segment, lack of teacher support and then also compensation. Ooh, this one is something that I just gets me hot. Yes, let's talk about teacher support. What has been your experience with administration and then also like support in your schools?
My last year, administrative support was a thumbs down, to say the least. My first year was super hard because of that. I didn't feel like nobody was supporting me. I had a very poor co-teacher because in fourth grade we were departmentalized, so I was switching with another teacher. The other teacher I was working with, me and her did not get along, and it was not my fault. And like admin support would come to me as if it's my fault.
Yeah,
and that painted a huge picture for me. So the remainder of the year, I got vendettas against all y'all. You know what I'm saying? So this year is much better. I have a new principal. I have made clean slates with everybody else. But in terms of behavior support, that's my biggest issue. When a kid is driving me nuts and they will take them out and then bring them back in 5 seconds. That is my biggest issue.
That's the biggest one. I came from a school, so I was doing para work in this one school.
Okay.
A plethora of behavior problems. Literally, kids running down the hallway. Like you would ask a kid, like, "Where are you supposed to be at?" And they would like literally like growl at you and run. Like it was crazy. And so I was there for like 6 years. So I understood that world, like of that behavior problem and it being such a crazy, chaotic experience. And then when I transitioned to my new school where I'm teaching at now, there's no behavior problems, like no behavior problems at all. It's a great school, great administration as well. But I will tell you, when it comes to great administration, yes, that's great. But when you're a new teacher, a lot of the things that you have to do and understand are based solely on like how you can like your own self. Like I had to learn stuff that I just was like, okay, I have to figure this out because there's not a lot of support when it comes to new teachers, and especially when they feel like new teachers already have like a gateway like you and I into education prior. So I think about that all the time because if I was a new teacher, like brand spanking new, like I see why so many teachers are leaving the profession because they don't understand. There's no one to support them. Even if you do have a great administration, you know, I mean, who knows if you have a great mentor or a great team or a great lead?
I don't know how it is in Texas, but here in Michigan, like clearly I didn't have to get my degree, right? So I could just pass the Michigan teaching certification test. And especially considering like, okay, I can just get certified to teach. I don't have to go to school for it. That opens a bigger door for random people to come in and teach. So if anybody can pass this teaching certification test, you have to actually try to train these people that don't have experience. And the only thing that I felt like I needed support in last year, besides my staff drama, was just like knowing certain things about the school. Like I didn't know what all was a teacher's responsibility besides the in classroom stuff. You know what I'm saying? So like they didn't tell me a lot of things that I had to just learn as the day came. And that was an issue for me too. So
yes. Oh my gosh, just the little things. They don't understand that the little things really do count. Like I remember being like at dismissal like my first year, the first day, and I was like, what do we do for dismissal? Like I have no clue where I'm supposed to go. Fire drill. I was like, where do we go for a fire drill? Because I have no clue.
Last year I had a freezing cold classroom. And my school is a charter school, so they wear uniforms. I didn't know that my kids, like, if they're super cold in class, they can't go and put on a jacket. They would come in my class. They would come in my classroom and tell the kid to take their jacket off. I'm like, but I let them do it. What's the problem? Like, because I honestly feel like at heart, I'm a rebel. Last year, I was kind of like a rebellious first year teacher because I'm like, these rules are stupid. If they're super cold in this, even I'm cold wearing a coat, and you telling them that they gotta go. So just let it
so they just had to be cold. Like I
gotta be cold. Like
that's actually crazy. That is actually insane. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
but
that's
fine. Thinking about our next question, I'm not over this whole jacket situation, but thinking about our next question, teacher pay and compensation are a huge discussion right now. What are your thoughts on what needs to change?
It needs to be a major increase in teacher compensation, and if they care, but we can clearly see that most people don't care about like the incoming generation. But like if they care, they will just pay teachers more simply if they want more teachers to stay. Because a lot of teachers that are stuck at schools that are older, I'll say, they're stuck because of like a tenure or a contract, or they owe the district money. You know what I'm saying? But I know that if they all wanted to genuinely leave, they would have left already. And I think if they were just given more, there would be people like from outside experience that would come and teach and fall in love with it. People that genuinely love to teach, they will stay longer. Like, I don't understand. There should be a significant increase for teachers for sure.
A huge increase. And I think about like the idea of like just I don't know. There are teachers who like are complacent and like the idea like I've met so many teachers that say I just do it for the kids. We all do it for the kids. Like let's just put that across the board. We all do it for the kids. But there's also a level of how are we going to survive? Like, you know, not only just survival, but pay me what I'm worth. You know, I'm here for hours on end. And, you know, I can say like, man, I'm not going to do this. Like, they don't pay me enough. But then at the end of the day, that I feel like a disservice to my students when I say that or I do that. So I just think about that all the time. Like, pay us what we're worth. You know, if there is a problem with bringing in teachers, like you're saying in, you know, Michigan, where you may not have to be have a degree in education to bring us in. You know, Texas has this program where I started off like as an associate teacher. So basically like you have your degree, but you don't have like your certifications passed. And then there's also another program in Texas. I think it's called Teach Texas or something like that, where you can essentially get your degree through like a program after you graduate. Yeah. And so like they have those things. So I just think about it all the time. Like if it's the issue of money or the issue of keeping us within the education field, like they blame a lot of COVID did this and COVID did that. Teachers were leaving way before then.
Right. Yeah.
Teachers were leaving way before then due to pay. Like due to pay.
Yeah.
And especially like with
that having a degree should have like even matter at this point. Like people are getting paid more just because they got a master's, but they still suck at teaching.
Yes. And really you're not getting paid more. I'm about to get my master's, and so I did the calculations, and literally it was like I think $33 a check. Like
crazy.
I said
that is crazy.
Mind you, I paid literally thousands to get this degree.
That's crazy.
I don't know. I just think about it because it's insane. It's really insane. But I just wanted your take on that because I was like, I need to speak to someone about this whole compensation thing because I try to talk to people and they're like, well, new teachers are getting paid more than what teachers are getting back then. And I'm like, well, not that much.
That's not how you should look at it anyway. Yes. Teachers, the job overall of being a teacher is not just in the classroom. Like I got kids that would rather be with me at school over the weekend than be at home. You know what I'm saying? Like when you formulate relationships like that and you're teaching them to be smarter students and then everything that we teach them is not just academic. Like we're teaching them certain social skills, behavior skills, self-control. Like we're teaching them so many other things other than just what y'all pay us to do. So it should be worth more overall. Like we're literally preparing the generation.
Oh my gosh. I don't know. That's such a crazy take on like what we have to actually think about as teachers all the time. But this next question that I want to get into kind of like separates itself away from like the whole education field, but also ties it back into being a creative force for your students and showing your students that they can really reach for the stars, no matter who they are or where they grow up. You are a artist yourself. How have you blended that into your classroom and really projected that like love of art and creativity onto your students?
Honestly, I need to utilize it a bit more, but
Yeah.
I've learned that my kids love music. So
Yes.
I incorporate music any chance I can. If they're working independently, we're playing music. When they walk
Yeah.
in the morning, we're listening to music. Like that always like sets the tone for all of us.
For sure.
I have pretty creative kids, so like I don't really feel like I need to do much with that
Yeah.
because they're all inclined in their own individual way to formulate something beautiful as a whole. So like
Yes.
every day is new. Like every day is like I got such goofy kids. Like it genuinely sometimes just feels like a family in there sometimes because we're all like we all bring something to the table and like creatively like the only thing that I wish I could do a bit more is that at this charter school, our lesson plans are done for us. So I don't have much to bring out of like whatever I accommodate that's already in the lesson. So like if I had more flexibility, I would do way more creative stuff. But I do. But all the kids know that they all know like it's so embarrassing sometimes.
That was my question, was like, do they know?
They looked me up. I remember last year when some of them found out, they all were on Google and they were like saving a picture of me as their background on Google. And they all coming up to me. I said, stop it right now. Like, but some of their parents know too. So it's kind of inevitable. So.
And I feel like that's a great connection for your students to know. Like, I spoke with someone like on the podcast earlier this month, and like again, I always preface like I didn't know much about my teachers growing up. Like I just knew that they came to school or that they went to church on Sunday. Like that's the only things that I knew. Yeah, very surface level. So like now again with like technology and like the internet, like they're able to look us up and know things about us, but also like that's a great connection piece that you have. Like you know that they know that you love, you know, your music and your art. So like it's again something that propels them a little bit forward.
Yeah, and it makes them it also like creates a sense of optimism for them too, because if they see you doing more than one thing outside of them, they're like, oh wow, like I can do several things too when I grow up. Like so it's
our kids know a lot. Like they know a lot. They know how to research a lot.
They be stalking me on TikTok, all of that. I be having to get rid of all of them. Oh my gosh.
Yes, they literally. Oh my gosh. Like, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. But today again, like Anaia, this has been such an insightful conversation and so exciting. I am so like honestly, you're just a breath of fresh air, and so like I love that you were here today and just I love the conversation. But I do want to know, before we wrap up, I want to ask, what advice would you give to someone considering teaching, especially if it was not their original career path?
I would say give yourself grace. You don't know everything. Some things will have to be learned along the way. Find a sense of confidence in the work because that will like lead you forward.
Yeah.
Because I walked in with like a sense of confidence before I even started. And I think I had that same confidence. If not, it's peaked more. And then I'll also say like, find a mentor that has been teaching like 5 years or more. Like find a mentor because I love all my mentors. So, yeah, that's what I would say. And formulate great relationships with your kids. Like don't even focus on all the academic stuff first. Like that's going to follow once they all love you. So.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you. Because that was amazing. I know someone is going to take this and really like, again, your impact and your wisdom has been great to hear. I do want to ask if you could change one thing about education overall, what would it be?
If I could change something like something that has already happened, the No Child Left Behind law, I'm changing that.
Yes.
Get rid of that because they still like utilize that so much now, like where they just move kids up even if they're nowhere near ready for the next grade. And that is something that bothers me. I would probably change that for sure.
Yes, I agree. I agree 100%. And then also on the pod, we always love to celebrate any accomplishment, anything coming up, anything about your journey, where people can find you, big or small. Where can we follow your journey or just listen to you or whatever?
You can follow me on Instagram and TikTok. That's where like most of my teaching content is. It is
Yes.
literally Anaia Lachelle with the underscore in between.
Period. Period. Okay, we're gonna make sure to put that down there. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I want people to really like listen to you, and she has some amazing music. So I really want people to see, your art and your creativity. But again, I want to just say thank you again, Anaya, for joining us, and thank you for everyone to tuning in to Teaching in Color. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and follow us for more conversations with incredible educators. Until next time, keep making an impact in your classrooms. Bye, guys.